Hello and welcome to Light Your Life. I'm Tina Marie, and it's so wonderful for us to be together learning from our wonderful guests. Let me introduce who we have today. This is a dear friend. We go back a long way. It's been over 12 years since we've shared conversation, and it just feels like it was yesterday. What I noticed on social media is my dear friend, Sherri Jaye, published a book, and I said, oh my God, we need to talk. This is the title of her book, and I want you to understand that you and I are both going to be sitting at the fireside with Sherri today, learning her secrets, learning her wisdom, taking it in and changing our life. So today we are talking about this or something better and how to manifest the life you could never imagine. Awesome. Yay. I love it, Sherri. And for those that get to watch us on YouTube, you will see that she's going to have her little props. And so she just popped up her book title there. And so let me give a little bit more introduction to Sherri so you understand the gravity of the wisdom that we're about to digest together. Sherri is a certified life mastery coach. She is a marriage and family therapist and has been a credentialed school counselor for over 19 years. She's worked with parents, teachers, students, and coaching clients, helping them build the life of their dreams and accelerate their results to create richer, more fulfilling lives. So we know we're going to glean some things today, and I can't wait to dive in. Thanks for being with me here today to get to meet and learn and hear from Sherri. Sherri, thank you for being our guest and sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you so much.
So I understand you're in Mexico today. You've moved to Mexico. I want to start there because I'd have to imagine, given that you've written a book on manifesting, that this was part of your grand design. So what brought you to Mexico?
Well, I have always wanted to live by the beach. The beach is what calls me, and I knew that when I was ready to retire, that was someplace I wanted to go. So through the years, wherever I was, I would say, can I live here? Is this where I want to live? And Puerto Vallarta was the big choice for quite a while. But then as I got older, it's too hot and it's too far from my family. And one day my boyfriend, Sal, who I also manifested first, he's from Mexico City. And we went to, I broke a tooth. I broke a crown, and he said, here, well, let's go to my dentist in Tijuana. And I said, why would you want to go there? Anyway, it was state of the art. It was a fantastic place. And I had to go and recover having a crown surgery and a root canal in a place near Ensenada. And we were in this hotel, and it was so gorgeous. It's only 3 hours from my house by car. I said, I think that I could live here. So we started going there often and really sitting there and practicing our retirement. We could do this, and the drive wasn't so bad. And so when I got ready to retire, I have some friends actually who live near Rosarito. And they said, here, I'll send you my realtor. And the realtor said, why do you want to go all the way to Ensenada when you could come to Rosarito, which is only about 45 minutes sooner? So it would be quicker to the border for me to get to LA to see my family. Beautiful homes there, beautiful. Like the home I have would easily be $10 million in Laguna, in California.
Oh my God.
Not kidding.
And that's in Rosarito? So the location, Rosarito?
I'm about 20 minutes south, closer to, I'm exactly halfway to Tijuana and halfway to Ensenada. So I'm in a beautiful, safe community. I would never, there was something better, because there was no way I would ever have imagined this house. The view, I thought when I told the realtor I could be back further. I just needed a view. I didn't need to be right on the beach. I didn't feel I needed that. So we looked at houses farther back, but then you saw the brush looking down. I said, no, I have to get closer. No, I have to get closer. And so to have the vision that I have always dreamed of, this house. And I hadn't even sold my house yet. I just said, as a matter of fact, I thought the house was just too much for me. Like when I really meditated, I thought it really came to that. I didn't even think I deserved such a house. Like, how could I have that? it was just too much. And plus, it was decorated like the Palace of Versailles to me. It was just very, very heavy, broke. It was beautiful, but it was not.
Opulent.
Yes, and it was not as beachy and casual as I am. And so, when they accepted my offer with no bidding war, and within like a month, I thought I was going to retire in September, and I had bought that house by December, and I had told nobody. And I had also a hairdressing business for 46 years. So I hadn't even told them. I thought, oh, well, maybe I'll just rent out my house and I'll come back to work. I just couldn't know that I was really going to let go and go. And then I put my house up for sale, and I sold my house within one day to the first person who came to my house.
Wow.
For over 120,000 more than I asked. So I was able to pay cash for this house. And it's just every day it's a dream. Every day I walk and see this view, and it's way better. I could not have imagined it, really. And then my friend moved here, and then my sister has moved here. And so,
so your family's coming to you. I love this. And you've touched on a couple of points that are really instrumental for people to understand how to unwind their own mind. And it's that deserving. It sounds like you have your own internal battle with that place inside of ourselves that says, do I deserve this? Whenever your vision doesn't yet match the frequency of who you believe you are. Could you speak to that a little bit?
That's exactly what happened. I just was I didn't feel at the moment, because I understand about that. And of course, externally, I would feel that I did, but I was so reticent about it. And my boyfriend at the time, he would say, this is our house. This is what you deserve. This is where don't you see us living here? And we had to come back a couple times, and I sat down and did a real meditation that morning. And I just started crying and really realizing that maybe as deep as as together, or as sure and confident as I think I am and thought I was, that's what spoke to me, the deservingness of this magnificent. I had already manifested the soulmate that took me 10 years to do. Mm-hmm. And this just came like this process of oh, I think I want to move here, and I think I could live here. And then it just happened. On top of it, the house they first showed me was more of a rundown surfer kind of house. It was 2 doors away. And I knew it needed a lot of work. And at the last minute, they put this house up, and we just had reduced the price by $200,000.
Whoa.
And they wanted me to see it in the morning, and I didn't want to stay. I wanted to cross the border. And Sal says, come on, let's stay, another hour and just look at it, because it was so big. And so, I don't know. Well, we went in there, and I was just like, oh God, is this?
Did you fall in love? Did you fall in love with it?
It took a minute. It took a minute for me to just realize that I could have it. That I actually, I had the money from my house, and that I could have something like this. And when I finally said yes, and I know to say yes to opportunities, I know all that, but it took me a minute, and then realizing, well, are they going to accept my offer? And then they did. And I'm telling you, and then I got right into it. And then I wrote them a letter, feeling that I'm going to take good care of your home. And this lady was a decorator and built this home with another architect. And it is very different than most of the homes on this area where I am. And it's just my home. And it feels so mine, and Sal's. We're so happy to be there.
That's
So
awesome. And there's another really beautiful thread of wisdom that's here weaved into your story. And that is that you've had this amazing support around you that also gracefully, nudged you. Because I hear that whenever you were wanting to head to the border and didn't know, I guess there was a part of you going, no, we don't need to see that house. Maybe it's already assuming it's too much. And Sal's there like, no, let's see it. I love this. I love this. Have you seen him as that support? Because I just feel his energy around you like a nurturing blanket.
exactly. That is, those are part of my affirmations of what I wanted when I'm, all those months, years
Years.
of my coaching. And, when I was coaching, I have a story in my book about my niece saying, well, Auntie, why would I want to take your class? Because you've been trying to get this soulmate for so long that, you haven't done it. I said, well, I'm going to do it with you. And you could see what I'm learning and how I'm growing in the meantime. So, come and learn from me and watch me. And so the beauty of it was that I was coaching them with everything I learned and doing it
Exactly.
and
So you're
doing it.
authentically in there, right?
And so when I did meet him on this law of attraction cruise that I
Mhm.
met him on, I felt like I'm going to go on this cruise and he's going to be there. And this was 10 years of a lot of work and a lot of studying and a lot of growing. And I came home and I said, here he is. And I've been with him ever since that moment. So that
Well,
was just 10 years ago. So, and
congratulations.
we just got officially engaged forever. I don't need to be married.
Right.
I just wanted to be engaged forever. And so at 10 years we realized that we really have made a beautiful life that we both are so happy with, or
Yeah.
better. You
Or
just don't
better.
know. The whole point is that you don't know what better is, because you don't know what a better relationship looks like, because you see what you see and you've had what you had, but you don't know how much better it really could be to have
Yes.
someone that is that supportive and gets you,
Well,
and even the house. I knew I had vision boards of all of it. I knew what I wanted to see. I had it so, and if you see my vision board, it's so interesting that it looks so much like my house. I had pictures of me and my little vision board in every room, and in every room you could see the ocean. So it feels like you're on vacation every day, because you're cooking and looking at the ocean. So when do you do that? When you're in an Airbnb on a vacation, or in the bathroom, or when you're getting dressed. And so just it just feels like my life is a vacation. I never had really thought my retirement would look like this either. So
ah,
there's so many things that once I said yes to everything and got in that flow, or get in the vortex of, it just was so easy.
so
Even the
what
book.
brought you? Yeah. So what brought you to this? Because we typically aren't born into a world that understands our own manifesting powers. In fact, if you're like me, we're moved away from those very rapidly with our standard education system, with our own belief systems within family and culture. So what brought Sherri to this understanding of your manifestation power?
Good question. I studying, learning, working with Mary, the
Did
friends
you have
and
a yearning
colleagues.
inside of you? I would like if we go back, because sometimes it's hard for me to even remember where it began. Because I was lucky to be born into a household where my mother and father were hippies and weird. And I'm very grateful for that, because they always butted up against the standard rules of society and allowed me to do so too, although they didn't know what they were birthing in a teenage girl. And so there was something where I wanted to have my own investigative journey of where did this curiosity and knowing start birthing inside of me. And I had the understanding through nature. Like I used to call birds to me. I'd say, okay, because I'd see the birds, I could hear the birds, and I'd want them to come closer so I could like be in the proximity of the bird and appreciate the bird. And so I would literally send out a thought form to the bird and say, come here. Like it's very easy, right? Come here. And the bird would come here. And so whenever I started playing with that, there was something that lit up inside of me of the knowing that there's more to life in me and my powers than I was being taught or encouraged with inside of life itself. Right. So I was wondering inside of Sherri, where did this curiosity even go in the direction that you've gone into and that you've become a master at, and you now teach other people? Where do you believe that started for you?
You know, in my book is all stories, and
Mm-hmm.
it starts when I was young and where I started thinking, and I was very young, and I was the only I don't know, I call it God because I don't know what else to call the feeling I had or the guidance I had. I always felt guided. I also felt I had, at 6 or 7 children, you get that death, that fear of death, the fear that your mommy's going to die and fear that someone's going to die. And I used to think, I can't believe I'm going to die and leave this world. And I had a whole thing about my dying and, and my mother's. And then I started to think, well, if I'm really good, God will save me and I won't die. And if I do good things, he'll want to keep me. And so most of it wasn't so altruistic. It was with that intention, I'm going to be a good girl and I'm going to live for a long time. And
Wow.
so most of my being, but I wasn't really good, you know. I was good outside,
Uh-huh.
but still I was very sneaky and did normal things, but
Right.
I had the appearance and I was kind and I was a nice girl. And but there was an agenda, you know,
You had a
except
purpose.
except that it when Princess Diana died, it blew that off for me. I was really
Oh,
freaked
good
out.
point. Yeah, me too.
How can he let her die? And when JFK Jr. died, how could he? This is not working with my theory. You know, good
Yeah.
people are dying.
Sometimes we need to have our
So,
theories dismantled, right?
and so, I grew up, but I always felt this presence, but I thought it was religious because how do you know what else it is? And my family was very secular Jewish. So there was nothing. We had nothing. There was no talk of God. There was no talk of anything like that. And so I kind of kept it all to myself as I grew up, and I also believed in past lives. When Shirley MacLaine came out with Out on a Limb and all her stuff, that kind of
Huh?
freed me a little bit.
Oh,
Because I
great.
always thought I was so weird and my thinking was God and I thought maybe I'm really religious and so I need to go to Sunday school and I need to understand this connection I have with God
Mhm.
and wanting to do good things. And so it just kind of morphed from that. And then as I got older, I kind of left it. But as I write in my book, I felt that connection with God as a child. And then it kind of left me a little bit. And then as I got older, I felt a much more larger connection. And it all came. That's why I felt very guided about the book. As I started, I had this big revelation at 50 when I had the last ridiculous boyfriend and went in the street and said, what is wrong with all these men in my life? And I thought it was them. Why are they like that to me? And what is wrong with them? And I said, what's the common denominator on all these men? And then I said, oh my God, it's me. And it was on Christmas Eve was my 50th birthday. And now I'm going to be 70. So it's exactly 20 years that I had this revelation.
Yes.
And when I realized it was me, well, that was my journey. I started to study. I said, help me. Help me. I know you're there. Help me and guide me to get on the track that I need to be on. And, I have been working in the schools, the stuff that I didn't need the big help, going back to college and having the job in the school system and working with the kids. Those things I was able to do easily. It was the bigger stuff and the relationships that was very difficult for me with men.
Mhm.
And it was a big journey in learning about myself and respecting myself and telling different stories about myself and growing to love myself. And I always thought I did, but I didn't,
Right.
you know.
And you share that in your book that this is a really fundamental um, part of our own manifesting and deserving of the life that we'd love to create is that self-respect and that self-love. You educate the people that are your readers for the book on your journey there. So could you share some of those insights that you had to go through on your own?
Oh, you know, the whole when I first decided to write the book, the first book, it was always going to be about my 10-year journey of manifesting my soulmate,
Right.
because that was not easy. You know, that was a lot of work and a lot of studying and a lot of reading and a lot of speaking and putting myself out there and doing and working, you know. And when I went to work, you know, and became a life mastery consultant with Mary, I didn't, you know, I had a beautiful job as a hairdresser. I had a beautiful job in the school system. It wasn't that I needed another job as a coach. I had no idea. It was just I was going through the process and growing and becoming who I needed to become to attract someone. You know, I would say, you know, how I felt that I needed someone who could respect and cherish and care for me in a way. So it's not about someone who has money and someone who has this. It was how they treated me.
Right.
And I realized I had to treat myself that way. And I had to realize and forgive my parents. You know, I did so much of that kind of childhood work and thanking them and appreciating them and knowing they didn't know better. And I didn't know better for a long time. And once I was able to study. I studied in Kabbalah for years, and I studied with Mary, and I studied so many, went to Psi and so many different places of learning and growing and understanding. It's kind of the understanding and the consciousness and working in the connection with the universe. And then I'm teaching that at school to the children. You know, you can't say God in the school, so I started saying universe, you know, and first time on all my 19 years, with all my principles, they all allowed me to be teaching this way to the
How
children.
beautiful. How beautiful.
And all my schools, they all kind of watched me growing and being more confident in who I am and in teaching this. And I really felt that the universe wanted me to do this work. And so I feel that everything that came to me is like a gift because of what I was giving. You know, it's that reciprocity. And I was aware of all of that. I didn't know that as a kid, but I started learning the process and learning the laws and understanding the world and understanding my words, understanding how so many things are so important. I understand of giving and tithing and giving of my time. And when you do all that, all these things work in your favor, you know. And I don't know that was it easy. You just had to have a strong desire. I had a very strong desire to have someone, a mate, someone that would be with me. And of all the things that I wanted in the man and in all the things that I wanted in a relationship, and in the end of it, it always said this or something better. You know, I would say that, you know, how we had to do those mantras. I'd say that all day. I would be walking. I woke up with it. I had index cards all around my house in my car. I mean, it was just something that I knew it was going to work. And then it's not like magic, because there is a process and there is a way to make it happen. And once it happened with Sal, you know, and the fact that he's from Mexico is also because I work with so many Hispanic families and I wanted to speak Spanish so badly. And Jennifer, Mary's daughter, would say, you know, if you could marry a Mexican like I did, you'll learn how to speak Spanish. Which I've been with him 10 years, and mi español is not fabulous yet.
Does the universe have a sense of humor?
Yes, definitely. The universe has a sense of humor. But I was so excited because I didn't know you would never know. I thought he was from Austria. I met him in the piano bar, and we were singing. I met him in the piano bar on the cruise, And you walk in, and we both love show tunes, and so they're singing show tunes, and it drew me in. And I said to my friend, if we don't go out on the cruise ship, we're having facials and we're doing this and massages, and we're not meeting anybody. Let's go out and meet somebody. And there he was, and the first song that you could sing was, they give you a booklet and you pick a song, and I see Some Enchanted Evening. So I don't even know the words. I only know that I like the song from South Pacific. And I said, oh, I want to hear number 12. And so now we all have the words and we're all singing. And it says, some enchanted evening, you will meet a stranger across a crowded room. Those are the words.
Hello.
I know. And so he's looking at me singing it, and I'm looking at him. And then I forgot how to flirt and how to meet somebody in person. I've been doing all that online stuff. And so, he's looking at me, and then I'm shy. I become shy now, and I look at him and I go, oh my God, is he flirting with me? I don't even know if I remember how to do that. And then he picks the next song he picks is Matchmaker, Matchmaker, Make Me a Match from Fiddler on the Roof, which is one of my very favorite songs and plays. And he's singing that, and I'm like, oh my God. And my friend's watching it all. She's like watching the birth of our moment, and she doesn't even know that I'm even aware of it yet. She's saying, is she aware that she's looking? Anyway, it was just really a fascinating experience. And as I got into it all, and that in itself, the journey of meeting him and being with him, and he could have been from Austria, and then who knows what would have happened. But he says, oh, I live in Laguna, and it was like only an hour and a half for me. And it was, and we were never apart. Since that time that we met on that ship, we have never been apart in these 10 years. And
glorious.
And his dreams and our dreams were like just like this. And he was just, he had been reading Earl Nightingale, and he understands all of he wasn't on the Law of Attraction cruise that I was on. He was hosting the cruise. This is another thing. That's a whole nother story in itself. And that when you write down and you say, I want a man that I could travel with, did you know that you would manifest a man who hosts cruise? And then we go on cruises 2 times a year for the last 10 years.
That's pretty awesome.
I mean, for free. I mean, how would you even say that? You don't even know that
you have
that
no
exists.
concept. You have no concept of that, right?
You don't know that there's a person that could be a host, and you can go anywhere you want to. They send us an itinerary. I mean, of all the cruises that I could go on a year cruise if I wanted to. I couldn't, but you don't even know the possibilities. So you never say how is it going to happen?
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, because that's a big one. That is so big. Like, because our mind wants to know the how. I mean, it's like this little, it just wants to have all the check marks. It wants to have the entire process. It wants to have it all laid out like a project plan. And like our mind thinks it's somehow in control of this. But what you're telling us is that's a stopgap. That just like negates the creative power of the universe. Yeah.
You don't even have, how would I have ever thought I would have this home and that I could afford this home all by myself? I never questioned that. I didn't even think to question that, even when I didn't even understand that principle. I just knew that's what I wanted. And I used to think all my life, well, when I go up to Napa, could I live here near Carmel? Could I live here? Knowing it's very expensive. Could I live here? Can I live in Puerto Rico? I started to kind of realize I needed to be in Mexico. It might not be in California, which I was okay with. Once my kids were older. And there was never a moment of how. I didn't even understand that then, but I just wanted it. Who knew that, I would end up getting a divorce and buying my house and keeping my house, and that my little house in my little neck of the woods, that it would turn into a techno city, that all of a sudden the prices of houses skyrocketed because Facebook and Google and Apple and all these things are moving into my area. So it brought my house up to something that nobody would ever not think that. You would buy a little house for 300,000 and sell it for way over,
Yeah.
nobody would ever realize that. So for me to been able to say I could do, I would think, oh, I'll marry someone who will do it. A man will do it. It'll be from somebody else. Never would I have thought I could do that on my own.
Wow.
Never. So the whole point is that I can do this, and I can have this fantastic guy, if I could have this house. And when I walk around my street, I just have a sidewalk that is, I wish I could just show you my home, and I do put it on my website. But there's pictures in my book also.
Yeah.
And if I can do this, just me, I'm just little old me. I was 68 and a half at the time, and I said, I have manifested this. It was a definite process. It was not unconscious after 50. Before 50, definitely, I wasn't conscious, but I'm showing how it's still working in your life, even when you don't know it.
Right.
God is there. The universe is there helping you. You might be pushing it away and whatever I was doing, but once I got the consciousness of it and realized it, I realized that everybody could have it. It doesn't matter. And that's why I show all the kind of icky stuff, I kind of wanted to rush through that part before I was 50, when I got to my divorce or my drama or all the chaos, I said, I'm going to spare you those details. I know you don't want to read that. And then my friend who was editing it said, you have to write that. And so I had to go back and rewrite. It wasn't that I was afraid or repressing it or didn't want to share it. I didn't think anyone really wanted to read that part. You don't want to read the crazy stuff and the chaos I was in for years with these 2 divorces.
Yeah.
But I put them all in there. And so
it's a hero's journey. It's a hero's journey that we all get the chance to come from. And what I'm hearing very clearly is that because of that chaos, because of where you were, and even the unconsciousness, which we're always creating, you're helping us see this and know this, is that on the other side of it, there's a part of you that appreciates everything that you have now even more.
To just, because it keeps happening. So I'm totally aware that everything in my life, and that's what I try to, how, if you hear people saying things, if they say something wrong, it feels like, it's grading on a chalkboard,
Yeah,
when
we know the truth. We know the truth inside, right?
When I hear the negativity that I hear, I play pickleball all the time, and I hear people say, oh, I'm so bad. That was terrible. I'm awful. Oh, and I'm thinking, don't say that. Stop saying that. People don't realize how important your words are and what you're saying to yourself. I hear the people saying to other people, oh, it's okay. You missed that shot, but you tried. I hear them saying that to other people. But when they miss the shot, they say, oh, I'm terrible. I should quit. I don't know how to play. You just missed a shot. It's practice. Everything is practice. Be so kind to yourself and say, oh, I missed it. Next time I'll do better. But I hear so much of this negative talk, and that is so important. So important in seeing the best, So my flight was delayed. I was trying to find, I know there's always going to be a good and a silver lining in every single thing that happens. I never really thought of it as terrible. It wasn't terrible. I'd walk around, I'd talking to people and sharing, and it was what it was. It was supposed to be. Maybe that plane would have crashed. Who knew that to keep me from going on that plane?
Do you have any advice for people? Do you have any advice, Sherri, for us that may know that there are parts of us that do that complaining, that there are parts of us that have that self-judgment and self-criticality? Do you have any advice on how we can stop it and be more aware?
When I say this to people, then they come back with me and they'll say, okay, I'll try. And then I'll say, don't even say try. Because when you say try, you're not going to be better. You have to really, you really need to understand those words. Even swearing and saying bad words, There's so many people who are all day long. They're saying, and I say, oh, poo. Or
Yeah.
I say, and they go, poo. And I go, well, it's nicer than saying those words. It's just so important to be in these vibrations and keep yourself feeling so happy and feeling, I talk about vibrations a lot, and like I'm always, when I'm with my family or when I was in this books, I'm having a 10 vibration. This is the balm. This is the part that keeps us healthy. This is the part that makes everything possible, is how you feel and how you talk to yourself and what you think about yourself. And the minute you say, it's a thought. And if you hear yourself saying that, then just change it. You change it in a second. You pivot your thoughts. And I can't help but say it. You want to correct someone if they're saying the wrong, if they say a word wrong, but I say, I'm changing that negativity. Can you see it that way? Or hearing the negative, someone next door to me is building a house and they come out and telling me, oh, they're doing it all wrong and they're doing it all this. And then they come out and I say, do you see where you live? Do you see what you have? You can't complain. There's a reason. So you find the joy. Go talk to those contractors and go talk to those workers and go give them something and be there and feel happy that they're in there working. I love seeing the men working in my house. She goes, I hate that they're in my house. I said, but find the joy in them in your house. Find the joy in this process.
Exactly.
That is finding the joy in all things. That's what I try to do and how I live.
I absolutely love this. I've taken so many wonderful golden nuggets away from our time together today. And I really applaud or just bow to you that you're at the edge of this beautiful age, and the vitality and the joy and the happiness that you exude is infectious in a beautiful way. And so thank you for being a light in our world and giving us that guiding, the principles, the reminders, and the little wake up shakes that we all need from time to time. I really appreciate you. Where can people find your wonderful book?
Well, it's on Amazon. Let me just hold it and show you.
Yes. It's This or Something Better by Sherri Jaye. How to live the life you never imagined.
Never imagined.
Never yet imagined.
I was either working between both titles. I had a hard time. I wanted it to say that, and then we ended up putting them both in there. So you just, you imagine what you imagine and you want what you want. And then if you just kind of stay out of the way, you get better. And then if you trust that, and if you really believe that, and so I believe if they don't know that it could happen, you can know that I believe it would happen. And so do you know it will happen.
I totally do. I know. I love our time together today. I want everyone to make a mental note or a physical note that you're going to go join Sherri on her Facebook page. You can look for her at Sherri Jaye, SherriJaye, or go find her group. And it's titled This or Something Better. It's a group you can join and follow Sherri and be part of her wisdom. And then, Sherri, you have a bonus for us. You have free strategy sessions that you've offered for our audience members to be able to sit with you and you can help them to manifest the life that they've never yet imagined too. How do they find you? Is that through that Facebook that you'd like them to connect with you for that free strategy session?
It's SherriJaye.com. So that's my website. And then you'll see how to contact me through that. Or when you buy this book, it'll tell you in the back all the resources and how you can contact me as well. And because I'm ready, I thought, as I felt guided to write this book, I never felt it was about making money. I just felt I needed to give a guide in how to have this kind of a life. And as one day I said, I bet people are going to need help doing that. It's just not as easy. Maybe I'm going to get back into my coaching, and that's what I'll do now in my retirement. And so I have redone and retraining with Mary and her group and her team, which is just exponentially what it has grown into that you cannot even imagine. And so I'm here now to want to be able to coach and work with anybody who who really is ready. Got to be ready.
You got to be ready. You got to have that
Got
desire
to
and
be
that work.
ready.
Cool. Well, thank you, Sherri, for sharing your time, and thank you for sharing your life story and your home and just your beautiful energy. It's been a great time together here at Light Your Life. And everyone, do go find her website. I'm going to spell again, SherriJaye.com. Thank you, Sherri. And until next time, you're a blessing.
Thank you. Thank you.